welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by La Petite Crème. La Petite Crème diapering lotion shields the skin from irritants 24/7 just by cleaning with it at diaper changing time. And today's episode is also brought to you by Original Sprout. The Reef Safe Face and Body Sunscreen is SPF 27 and made with 10% non-nanoparticles of natural zinc for broad spectrum protection. We will hear more from our sponsors later, but you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check out our sponsor page if you need anything. See if you can give them any of your business because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, you can scroll down and enter your email address, and we'll send episodes straight to your inbox every week. And now Dianne and I both have our review of the week.
This is kind of fun because
I know
we each got an email from the same person. And it wasn't the same email. She actually went to the trouble to instead of just copy and paste it and send it to two different people, which is probably what I would have done, I have to say. She wrote us two different emails, and Abby was sent to me hers, and she's like, oh, this would make a great review. And I was like, oh my God, I got an email from the same person. So we thought we would each read ours. Yeah. Because they're very fun. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Sure. I'll go first. It's from Roberta. Thank you so much, Roberta. I just love this podcast. I am 60 years old now and loved my 30 odd years of breastfeeding. Oops, not 30 years, 15 years. Sorry about that. My interest has been forever, even before I had my first child. When my husband and I married, we need to practice natural family planning for a little while and then start our family. We simply ended when my biological time clock gave in, about 45 years ago. About 45 years of age, not 45 years ago. I had my last pregnancy when I was 45 years old, and then after that, it just stopped. I am a huge breastfeeding advocate at 60 years old. My husband and I love those years. Now we can mentor the next generation of our children and their spouses. Thanks for reading my post, or my response, sorry. Kindest regards and God bless, Bruce and Roberta. She sounds fun. I want to hang out with her.
So mine is even more fun. So she says, good morning, girls. I just wanted to write in to say how much I love your podcast. I think you two are a gas. I especially love Abby when she gets on a rant. Both of you are extremely knowledgeable and highly interesting. I think you should make a comedy team on television or make a new podcast about breastfeeding and comedy. I think it would be awesome to watch or listen to, that is. Speaking to you as an addicted listener at the age of 60. I myself had 12 pregnancies, 7 live births, 1 stillborn, and the rest were miscarriages. I know a lot about pregnancy, breastfeeding, and depression just through experience. It was not easy for me as I am or was diagnosed a manic depressive, or as they politely call it in 2022, bipolar 1. I also have a very serious eye condition. I only have 5% of my vision and I can't tell color. It made for some really interesting times for our growing family. I can't wait to become a grandma. I'm also looking forward to helping my girls and my daughter-in-laws on their baby wearing and breastfeeding journeys. Lots of kids and plenty of chaos. That's all for now. Keep up the great work. And this is also from Roberta. So thank you so much. I love that she wants us to be on TV.
Yeah, there might only be a handful of people that want us to be on TV.
But Roberta would watch us, and I'm good with that. No, I love her. Yeah. She's hilarious, and I would have loved it if she had been my mother-in-law. That would have been great.
I know. And
first time around, second time around, I really, I was good with that. But first time around, she would have made a fun mother-in-law.
It's so. This is how breastfeeding happens and doesn't happen is when it's in families, mm-hmm. And breastfeeding is not in so many families because it's been, so kind of pushed to the side. But when we, have people that are like supporters in families and push, want to help and want to support and do that, with the, like she said, the next generation, that's how we're going to recover from this, breastfeeding shortage.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a big difference when you have people in your family that can support you like that. It's really what the bottom line is, the support.
Yeah. And when you grow up with it around you, it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
And then that makes it easier for you to succeed at it. So anyway, thanks, Roberta.
Thank
That
you,
was
Roberta.
fun to get. Did we respond? I didn't respond.
I didn't either. So
okay.
We were just excited to get
right
it.
Now. Thanks so much. Hopefully you're listening.
I know. She's in Ontario, Canada, which I also think is pretty cool. So yes, thank you so much, Roberta. And thank you for being a listener. We've gotten emails in the past or messages in the past from people who, don't have kids, but they work in the field of breastfeeding somewhere or in lactation and, or they are, grandparents or whatever. But I just love that, that she is 60 and she's like, hey, I've always been interested in breastfeeding. I love this podcast. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I guess I never, when we started this podcast, it was always about like, okay, we're going to empower the parents that are in it right now. And I never thought that we'd be reaching out to people who just are such,
Yeah, because there's like breastfeeding fans too, they're just like fans of breastfeeding. And that's, that's
I never
cool.
thought about that. Yeah. And I do. I mean, obviously we're fans of breastfeeding, but,
right.
we
were also in it. I mean, everybody, she was in it too, but yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
You should, so many times it's just like, oh, I'm not breastfeeding anymore, so I don't have anything to do with that. But you do. You always do. You do forever. Do. That's like saying your kids are grown, you're not a parent anymore. That's not how it works.
No, I know. God. Some days I wish it worked like that. But no. It's my claim to fame. The only thing I ever did right was the only thing I ever did right was choose to breastfeed these kids. So today we're going to talk about comebacks. Yeah. Just in case you need one ever.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't need them, but it's always nice to feel, to have a few up your sleeve, which helps, I think can help even, you feel more prepared and more empowered and more secure going out into the world. It's just like, let me think about what I would do in that situation. If you were either in public and somebody said something to you, or if you're, at a family gathering or somebody comments on how old your child is, or, all these different scenarios that people feel the need to comment on.
And I know, I think a lot of times that we think about comebacks in the realm of like breastfeeding in public, right? But we also have to think about like, what about when you're, when or if your pediatrician says, oh, you're still breastfeeding, you don't need to be doing that anymore. Like, what is your comeback going to be to a medical professional, or what is your comeback going to be to, a mother-in-law or, somebody like that you respect, but you also don't want them in your business.
Right.
It's, and I never know, like, and I know I've said before too on the podcast that if I'm in a public situation where people are like, oh, what do you do? Which has been a little while since I've been in that kind of a situation, but people are like, what do you do? And I tell them and they're like, oh, and if they were somebody who breastfed, then they're like, oh my gosh, I loved breastfeeding so much. And like kind of get into this whole thing. But if not, then they're kind of like, oh, and they're kind of standoffish. And it's like, then I feel bad and I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to make them feel bad because we all think everybody's guilting each other. So it's like, it really, it almost is like, we're almost to the point where people don't want to talk about breastfeeding because they don't know how the other person's going to react to it.
Yeah. I feel like, it's just one of those conversations where someone's going to get butt hurt.
Right.
But, but I don't know why. It's not, it's like when I talk about, I've told this story before. When I talk about having a home birth.
Yeah.
Like, oh, where was Exley born? Oh, yeah. Well, he was born. I had a home birth. People immediately launch into why they were not able to have a home birth. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I really don't care where your baby was born. Like, I don't care. Like, I care, like I want to hear a story, but it's not like I had a home birth, so I think you should have. Or I breastfed for a super long time, which I don't even know if I would do that again. But like, then people are like, oh, I couldn't do what you did. And it's like, no, it's not no, it's not about that.
Yeah. I hear that all the time with the twins. You breastfed twins? How did you do that? Oh, I don't know if I could do. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it was a choice.
It's just what we did. It's just what we did. It worked for us. End of story.
Yeah.
And that is one big comeback that actually applies in so many situations with your in-laws, with your family, with your pediatrician, with the public. this works for us.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for your concern, but this works for us.
Right.
That's a really good one, and it applies in so many places.
Yeah, that is really great.
Keep that one. I asked this on social media last night because I was like, okay, well, let's see, we'll get some from, the people and
because
read
we
those.
fly by the skin of our teeth here.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, well, last night I decided to post it, even though we've known that we were going to do this.
Less than 24 hours. I had a bunch, but it's like I always have the same ones from the So for anyone who doesn't know, which is probably most people at this point, I, a long time ago, wrote this thing called Become a Badass Breastfeeder in 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
No, Become a Badass Public Breastfeeder in 7 days. And it was an email thing. Now it's just on the blog. And I encourage people to do it one day at a time just so you can let the information sink in. But when it was an email thing, it was like one email a day for 7 days. And there's one of the days, we'll link it because it's really good if you have any reservations about breastfeeding in public, or you just, I went on and on and on and on and on about this topic. This is like one of my favorite topics, this breastfeeding in public. And there's a whole day just of comebacks. So
that's awesome.
I have those, but I've had the same ones for, I don't know when I wrote it, a long time ago, like 8 years ago or something. So then I was like, oh, I'll ask people and see if they, have new ones, something I'll make it a little fresher. And a woman that I've actually met, her response was just the middle finger emoji.
Oh my God, I love it.
I pinned it. I was like, that's my favorite one. But, there are times when sarcasm is absolutely welcome. And if somebody says oh, do you want a cover? Of course, what, do you want to eat with a cover over your head? Or you need to go to the bathroom to do that. Would you like to eat in the bathroom? Those are very sarcastic responses, which are absolutely fine. And you are allowed to use those. But not everybody is a sarcastic person. Not everybody is going to flip somebody off. And you always have to, especially when you're in public, you do have to think about, your safety. Am I about to start something, or, do I feel safe enough?
Right.
In this situation, because, you don't know what people are going to do. People are crazy.
It always bothers me when I see stuff like this on social media, and social media as a whole right now, I think is just a garbage pit that needs to be burned. Yeah. But when people say that's private and should be done in private, that drives me crazy. And it's like,
yeah, but you're sitting out here chomping your Cheetos in my face,
right? Chomping your Cheetos in my face, that really does bother me. It's like that is not. No, it's just, I just can't even with that bullshit. That is a private thing that's done between a mother and a baby. It is not something that should be out in public.
Ugh. I feel everything else that's done in public is what should not be done in public. Breastfeeding is the one thing that actually should be in public.
Well, I sent you that one link from that, or that one screenshot of, one of my former clients, and this was on Facebook not that long ago, and she posted a picture of her and her baby breastfeeding, and it was literally you could not see anything. You could tell that the baby was latched. You could not see anything other than that. There are definitely way more halter top cleavage pictures that are more extreme than this than this picture was, and people were like her friends were like, "Get your tit off the book."
Oh, yeah.
And I'm
right.
like, what? You can't even
see anything. That's how the Badass Breastfeeder started.
Yeah.
The Badass Breastfeeder started when I posted a picture. I was at the park with Jack, my first baby, and I breastfed him in the park. I didn't know that was that
you weren't allowed to breastfeed in the park.
I didn't know this. I didn't know all the politics that were about to explode in my face. And I was sitting with my friend and I said, take a picture of me. So she took a picture of me, and then I put it in this mommy group, just this mom group. And people went apeshit they were like, oh my God, that's disgusting. Why are you posting it in here? Why don't you have a cover on? You shouldn't be doing that. That's private, And then of course there was the other side that was like, this is perfectly natural. What's wrong with you people? And, it just like exploded in my face. And I was like, okay. And at the time I didn't really understand what was, I didn't understand really how Facebook worked. So I was like, oh my God, the group disappeared. Of course, now I realize that they threw me out and blocked me.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God, the whole group disappeared. No, that's not what happened. They just blocked me. And then I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a Facebook page and I'm going to like flood people's faces with breastfeeding photos. And that's how it all started. But yeah, people it's so controversial and it's so insane. And so should I start reading some? I think maybe we should read a few, and I'll read the ones that I, from my thing, from my course, my 7-day course.
Yes.
And then we can take a break and then we can say some more.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. And I have these categorized. So these are it first starts with Sassy. So things like put a blanket over your head. How would you like to eat in the toilet? You're an adult. You can handle a little discomfort. My baby can't. Would you rather my baby scream in hunger? And if somebody is staring at you, oh, you must be staring at my adorable baby.
That's a good one, yeah.
I care far more about what is best for my baby than I care about your opinion. I saw far more boob on the cover of GQ magazine this morning.
Good one.
I don't know if that's true. Aren't there men on the cover of GQ? I don't. Or do they put ladies on the mother? I don't know.
I don't know. What there's
Sports Illustrated, whatever.
So yeah, it doesn't.
Or
pick
Elle.
your magazine.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're all boobs are everywhere.
Yeah, pick your magazine.
Your staring is far ruder than anything I'm doing.
Good.
Okay. And then we go into like informative, if you feel like educating people. Covering up perpetuates the idea that I'm doing something wrong and I will not be a part of that myth. Telling me to cover up and remain hidden inside is a way to control me and my fellow women. It's natural for children and men to be curious about something they don't often see. I'm okay with that. Pumping can diminish my supply, and bottles can create nipple confusion. I cannot take that risk. I feel like there's some misinformation in there, but
they don't know.
That person won't know that.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my God, no, bottles will ruin everything.
But it's just more work. Because like, can't you just like put it in a bottle and bring it out? Like,
I know. Yes,
work.
That's a big thing people will say too. Is like, why can't you just put it in a bottle? But why?
Right. Why should you?
Why do I need to go through all of that?
And then you got to keep it in a no. Mm-mm. Defeats the purpose.
So ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. It's right there. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good one. Actually, covering my baby can prevent her from receiving enough oxygen.
That is a good one. You're trying to kill my baby. You're trying to kill my baby.
I know.
Then you can
You're
get
obviously
into, like,
trying to kill my baby, and I should call the police because you're a murderer.
Like took a really vicious turn right there. I know.
Exactly. Yeah, just escalate the situation. Like just like make it like, yeah, bring the situation over the top so people are like, oh my God. And they'll run away. And then I know my rights and I have the right to be here. Okay. And then we have a section on non-confrontational ones, which is, starts off with my favorite one. Breastfeeding works well for me and my family. And if somebody tells you to move, thank you for your concern, but I'm quite comfortable here. And my baby has a right to eat just as you do whenever and wherever she's hungry. We can't afford formula or bottles. And my doctor said that this is what I should be doing. So you can just put the blame on somebody else.
Yeah.
And then the toddler. There's always comments about the toddler. So yes, I'm still breastfeeding. And yes, it's still none of your business. That should go on a shirt. We should put that on one of the shirts.
Oh, yeah, we should. Yeah.
The natural age of weaning for humans is somewhere between 2 and 7 years old. And the World Health Organization recommends exclusively breastfeeding for 6 months and to a minimum of 2 years with supplementary foods. And so that's what I have.
All right, so should we take a break?
Let's take a break, and then we can go over to social media and see what the the badasses have to say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
Today's episode is brought to you by La Petite Crème. Did you know that French moms don't use baby wipes? That's true, even for number 2. They use an oil-based lotion that cleans and disinfects like a wipe, but also leaves a thin protective layer behind so that the next pee or poo is not in direct contact with the skin. Humidity, friction, and contact with acidic waste are the main causes of diaper rash in infants. La Petite Crème diapering lotion shields the skin from these triggers 24/7, just by cleaning with it at diaper changing time. Here is your key to a healthy bum, protecting while you clean. And it's easy to use. Simply apply on a disposable pad or a washcloth and wipe away. Voila. No mess, no cry, no bulky gear. Your baby's bum will thank you for it. La Petite Crème diapering care line is handmade in Florida by founders Cecile and Fanny. Certified USDA organic and contains only 6 ingredients that you can pronounce. Head to La Petite Crème, that's LAPETITECREME.com and use code BADASS for 20% off of your first order. And today's episode is also brought to you by Original Sprout. Original Sprout carries safe, effective, and pediatrician-tested shampoos, conditioners, styling, and body care products. The Reef Safe Face and Body Sunscreen is SPF 27 and made with 10% non-nanoparticles of natural zinc for broad spectrum protection against both UVA and UVB rays. The gentle formula won't clog pores and is safe for babies, children, and adults. Protect your skin from damage from the sun for long-term skin health. All of Original Sprout's products are paraben and phthalate-free, vegan, and cruelty-free. Their proprietary formulas contain nourishing extracts from fruits, vegetables, and flowers that the whole family can enjoy. Made for babies, perfect for grown-ups too. Check out the entire line at originalsprout.com and use code BADASS for 25% off of your purchase. And these sponsors and their promo codes can be found in our show notes under this episode at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com. Our show notes will also include further information about things we talk about in this episode, and at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, you will also find our breastfeeding resources, all of our other episodes, and information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne. And now we're back with some comebacks.
I did see a couple funny ones on yours.
Okay, good.
That just kind of like came up get quick. And one of them that I thought was particularly funny must have been somebody who was prepared to say something to somebody like in church, because she was like, I was all prepared to say, how do you think Jesus ate?
Oh, yeah.
When if somebody approached her in church and said, that she shouldn't be breastfeeding or whatever. But I always get excited when I see people breastfeeding in places that you would not expect to see them breastfeeding.
Yeah. It's so funny that you wouldn't expect to see somebody breastfeeding in church when, like, how the hell do you think these people ate?
Yeah.
How do you think, did you think Jesus had some formula?
I know, right?
Out of a bottle? What do you think happened?
I walked up to somebody once in a bar. It wasn't actually a bar. It was a brewery. It was a little, like, very small little brewery, and she was sitting there breastfeeding. I think we were like the only people in the place at the time. And then like a whole, like, I don't know, carload of people on, like, I don't know if it was like a bachelor party or something, happened to wander in, and she was breastfeeding. And I did walk up to her and say, like, good for you, and she kind of like had this look on her face at first, like she thought maybe I was going to approach her and say something nasty. Yeah. But it is, I mean, in this day and age, it can be really hard, to just be like, all right, I'm just going to feed my baby, because there is so much backlash. And nobody wants that confrontation.
No, especially while you're sitting there with your baby and your boob out. I mean, you're in this vulnerable position, and then, somebody's saying something to you, and it's like, it's so humiliating and it's so scary. And you just assume that people are going to say something negative.
Yeah.
And so you're just sitting there waiting, for it.
So what else do the social media peeps have to
All
say?
right. Well, somebody said, so when somebody asks you to cover up, you've got control over your own eyes, right? You chose to look at me. Now I'm going to need you to choose to look away or close your eyes voluntarily, or I can close them for you. That's the kind of shit I would say.
For like the first, I know that reminds me of when people say that they don't like people breastfeeding in public because they don't want their husband to look.
Oh yeah, right.
And it's like, first of all, then you must have some trouble. Like that goes a lot deeper than just somebody breastfeeding in public.
Seriously,
the problem's
like
there. Yeah,
yeah, you have some serious issues in your relationship and within yourself, and like, why do you think you can control what somebody else looks at?
Right.
That's some creepy abuser shit.
Yeah.
Like, people are actually allowed to look at whatever they want to look at. They're allowed to look at people breastfeeding too. You're not allowed to say, I mean, you don't need to say anything, but I mean, people have a right to look where they want to look. It's like, isn't there like some basketball player who his wife wouldn't let him look at other women or something?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. That's creepy.
Yeah. It is. It's creepy.
And yeah, like, why are you worried about, like, you're that insecure in your relationship that you're worried? Anyway, I can go on about this all day.
I know.
Okay. So here's a health one. We wonder why our adults are so sick. Diabetes, cancer, obesity, bowel problems, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. We blame their adult lifestyle, but the way that they were fed as babies has a huge impact on the rest of their life as well. Mm-hmm. Good point. How long will you breastfeed for? Well, I think until college, or maybe until before their wedding. But weddings are stressful, so it might be until the day of. Guess we'll see.
That's a good one. Imagine somebody's face when you say that to them.
I know. Just straight up dead face.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, probably thinking, until college. Yeah.
Yeah, when I drop them off at college, I thought that'd be a good time to wean. Idiots.
And if you're drinking alcohol, and somebody looks at you, you can say, what? It's not a funnel.
Yes.
Which is it exactly. It's not a funnel.
People that all the time. Yeah. People think you're actually pouring the alcohol into your baby's mouth when that's really not what's happening.
Yeah. When somebody says, are you sure they aren't hungry? They're really fussy. You can say, I think they're fussy because they're a baby, or they're fine. They just ate 30 minutes ago. Not every cry is a hunger cry.
Again, your chance to educate people.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
About breastfeeding in the toilet. Do you eat where people take shits? My kids used to like always have to bring their snack into the bathroom with them. I'm like,
oh my God,
so weird.
I don't know why people think
ahead.
It's okay to say that to somebody. Like, you can just go in the bathroom and feed.
I know. Yeah, we're going to need you to go in the bathroom.
Like, that's disgusting. I don't know.
I mean, it's so weird.
It is. I don't know why anybody thinks that's okay. I just can't even
do
that. No.
So somebody was in a grocery store line buying wine. And somebody said, you better not be drinking this. And I let it go for a moment. Then he said, I don't make enough to tell you what to do, but I'll stop you right there, as you indeed don't have and outran my mouth a full lecture on minding his own damn business, the science of alcohol while breastfeeding, and customer service to boot. Oh, it was the cashier.
It was the cashier?
It was the cashier while in the grocery store line buying wine with baby. The cashier had the nerve to say, you better not be drinking this. Then he said, I don't make enough to tell you what to do, but, and then she interjects, I'll stop you right there, as you indeed don't have the right. And then went on to tell him to mind his own damn business, explain the science of while breastfeeding and drinking alcohol and how to do customer service better. And then she says, I did withhold the information that I was at the very moment in time pumping. She had the
Not
LV
that it made
in
a
her.
difference.
No, but she had a little pump in her shirt. Yeah.
Oh,
people have some nerve, man.
Right. I was about to, so in here where I live,
Yeah,
they don't have wine in grocery stores. So it's like, but at our grocery store, like I'm just imagining at our grocery store, the cashiers are like 17 years old. I can't imagine that there would like a cashier would actually have the wherewithal to be like, you aren't drinking this, right? Like, what kind of nerve, man? Like, that's really,
seriously.
Wow. Good for her to be
I
like,
know,
look
seriously.
at, like, again, educating, which is good. But
Ugh.
why do anybody think that that's okay to say?
I don't know. People think that it's okay to say all kinds of things.
That
I'm
is
like
crazy.
shocked at the shit that people say. It's insane.
Oh
and
my
it's like
gosh.
usually, no, I don't want to say usually, but it's definitely increases when you have a baby.
Yeah.
People honestly think that they can just say whatever they want to you about whatever you're doing.
It's insane.
And it's like, how did everything about me suddenly become like public business?
To complete strangers. I mean, I could see, and it's still not okay, but I could see if you're sitting at a family function and you're drinking something and breastfeeding and people are like, can you do that? Like, but to have a freaking male cashier at a random grocery store,
I know,
comment on what you're buying because of your baby. It's like, do you even know what you're talking? No, you don't know what you're talking about. And he doesn't know her life. Maybe she's maybe she's a recovering alcoholic and she's buying that to take to a friend's house. He doesn't know. Like, come on. He doesn't know that's what she was planning to drink.
I know. Why? I don't know why people have to comment on anything, especially when you're at the store buying shit. You don't need people. Like when you're buying hemorrhoid cream, you don't need somebody to be like, "Oh yeah, some hemorrhoids, huh?" Like you don't you don't need to comment on what people. It's like when you go to Trader Joe's, they like comment on everything that you
they do.
that you're
Why
buying.
Do they do that? Yeah,
I don't know. There's like, oh my god, this is so good. At least they're just. I mean, Trader Joe's are like taught to be like super chatty. But they don't ever say anything rude. They're just like, oh, this is so good, or have you tried this? I haven't tried it yet. They're just chatting, but it's like comment on everything.
Oh my gosh. I have noticed that.
Okay, so somebody, I'll go, what?
No, it's just like ridiculous. I just can't even that's all I was going to say. It's just ridiculous.
So this person says, I tandem fed my kiddos and weaned my daughter at 4, but I always got when are you getting her off your tit?
I hate that.
Ugh. I know.
And then, it just sounds filthy.
I know. Her response is it bothering you? Well, no, but it's weird. Is it hurting you? Well, no. So can we stop talking about my breasts now?
Good for her. That's a good one.
I know. I like that one. Yeah.
Yep. That is a good one.
Like, if you think that this is so private and this is a private part, then how about you stop talking to me about it?
Right. It's like, what gives people, why do people think they can talk about somebody else's body parts too?
I don't know.
Like, that's the other thing. It's like,
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, well, if you're going to whip it out, then I'm allowed to talk about it.
Nobody's whipping anything out.
That's actually not how it works. And then the good old mind your own tits. That's the only time that I like that word.
Yeah.
And then Angela says, keep walking or I'll squirt you. And I know people that have squirted people, and I love it.
I do. Yeah.
If you have,
I'm always like, that'll cure whatever ails you, man. You should say thank you, actually, to that one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that would so completely freak somebody out if you squirted them with your breast milk.
Oh my God,
I'm all
would,
for it.
Sure. I saw something one time. Oh my God. And this is going back like several years where a woman, and this was, I can't remember even what state this was in because it wasn't in New York, but it was a woman was arrested for something. I don't know. And they were doing like, arresting her or whatever. And it might have been like during a search, or maybe they were having her change her clothes or something like that. And she did squirt them. And they like, I think they might have like charged her with like bodily fluid, something or other. And I was like, come on. Yeah. And it was just like, come on, give me a freaking break. It's breast milk. It's not going to hurt you.
Seriously.
It's not like somebody like,
it's like the healthiest thing you've had on your body.
Some kind of like, some kind of weird disease, and then they bled on you or something. Give me a break.
Right. It's not. Yeah. I like this one. I've heard this one before. Aw, that's really sweet that you think I care about your opinion.
That is a good one.
And then
what's somebody going to say to that? Really? What are they going to say? They're just going to turn around and walk away. It's like,
yeah, I know. They can't say anything.
No.
And then here's another one with the Jesus was breastfed. She says, I'm Catholic, and my biggest critics when I was nursing my boys was from some of our Catholic family. They said, since scientists made formula, it's better.
Okay. All right. Because scientists
and that
know
reminds
all the
me,
things.
Yeah, that reminds me of that one. I think I sent it to you. Somebody sent me a message saying, they took a screenshot of a comment that somebody made that you shouldn't use breast milk because breast milk is made from your body and we're all sinners. So your breast milk is like tainted and like man-made formula. So therefore that's better.
What the? That's some most
did I send that
bullshit.
To you?
No,
Oh my God.
I would have remembered that. That is some twisted shit.
I know. I was like wait, that. Hold on.
That is like as twisted. Now I'm good at twisting stuff, and that's a good twist right there. Like that is definitely a twist right there, because nobody on the planet is going to agree with that. Like
I know, and it's like what a sad way to think of your body.
Yeah, like your body is no good. But then, what about like, I don't know. We can't even get into the whole religious thing because there's so many contradictions there. And then, your body's your temple.
Yeah,
really?
Right.
Obviously not, because it can't do anything good. So
your body's a temple, but you're also a sinner.
But your breast milk is crazy. Yeah.
Your breast
That's
milk,
going back to some 1800 stuff. Like seriously, like with the when people used to hire out for wet nurses, and they wouldn't hire a wet nurse if she had red hair, because that would make would make the baby too fiery of a personality. And they would, like they had these very specific reasons why they would want to hire a wet nurse, because they thought all that personality came through the breast milk. And it's like,
oh my God.
I know, it's crazy. It's like, that's what we're going back to now.
Yeah. It's intense. The things that people think. It's really intense.
I don't even know. Like sometimes it's just like, you just got to look at them with a look on your face. Like, what is wrong with you? Like it just, sometimes
you don't have to
doesn't
reply.
even need to be words. Like it can just be
that's
like,
another thing. Yeah, that's true. It's another thing. You don't have to respond at all. You can just turn your head away. I like this one. If you don't like breastfeeding, then we won't make you do it.
That is a good one.
And then all you see, this is from the brilliant Man versus Baby. I guess this is a Facebook page where he said this. All you see is the back of a baby's head. And if the back of a baby's head offends you, you should see what comes out their asses. That's awesome.
That is a good one.
It's true. If you think boobs are sexual to my baby, you might want to seek therapy. That's a good point too. Yeah. I mean, if anyone thinks that breastfeeding is, I think the fact that people think that breastfeeding is sexual because breasts are sexual, we think that the primary purpose of breasts is sexual, right?
Right.
We don't even think that that they're on our bodies for another reason. And I think that the fact that people are uncomfortable with breastfeeding because of that, or like think of, breastfeeding an older child as like being sexual, that is just like a huge indication of how sick our society is.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is just like a big symptom of how sick this is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I have a hard time with comebacks. I don't even know if you want to call it a comeback, but I guess you could. Where like if a new mother says to me, I don't want to breastfeed in front of, this is, hard with my newborn, and I don't want to breastfeed in front of my older children. And I never know, because obviously that's a very real feeling she has. And I don't know how, like, what kind of comeback to give her to be like, that's some fucked up shit. Like I usually say some stuff like, usually I say something like, that's a great way for them to learn what your body's for. But people are really like so afraid of what other people's feelings or thoughts might be, that they keep from doing what they think is best for their own child. And that's the same way with like breastfeeding in public. People don't want to breastfeed in public because they don't want to make other people uncomfortable. I hear that too. Oh, I don't want to breastfeed at this family event because I don't want other people to be uncomfortable. Or my mother said other people are going to be uncomfortable, so I shouldn't be doing that. And you really get nervous. It's like, who cares if they're uncomfortable? Like, they can get up and leave if they're uncomfortable. Like, what? They're adult people. Like, that was in one of the comebacks. Like, you're an adult, handle it like an adult.
Right. Yeah. I mean, human beings, people never want to admit this. Human beings are social creatures. We are social. We exist in relation to each other. We are not, tigers. I always say tigers because tigers don't hang around each other. They kind of go off on their own. Right. Humans are social. We're not the only social mammals, of course, but any animal that travels in packs, exists in, relation to each other. These are social creatures, and we do care. We are wired to care what other people think. So people say like, I don't care what anybody else thinks. Well, that's not really true. I mean, you really have to, so we have this, this need, this want, this desire to like this innate thing to care what other people think. But then we also have all these fucked up social norms, so you do have to kind of fight against that natural desire to care what people think, to try to not care because what people care or what their opinion is messed up. So it's like this whole kind of like, it's this constant battle where you are worried about what people think, but you do know that what you're trying to do is the right thing to do. And it's really hard. It's really hard. You're going out into society. You do care deep down inside what people think, whether you think you do or don't. It's just this natural thing that you're here with all of these other people. And then you have people who who are looking at you weird or think, what you're doing is strange, or they're staring and they're shocked. And it's just like, what a like weird way to live.
I know.
It's hard to deal with that.
It is. It's really hard. That's why we came up with these comebacks. We're hoping that it's helpful for you.
Well, I don't know if we came up with them, but
no, we didn't really come up with them.
We just shared them.
We're just sharing the comebacks.
We compiled them and then delivered them.
We're just the messengers.
So thanks to everybody on social media who shared your comebacks. That was really helpful.
Or experiences with what you did.
Yeah, exactly. And
which is amazing.
Yeah, so pick some of your favorites, keep them in your head. You can you could try them out with your partner, try out saying something, practice what you might say to your pediatrician and practice what you might say to somebody at a restaurant, and just have those up your sleeve if it just helps to kind of know what you would do in a situation. Oh, and I did want to say a couple of things. I was like, okay, I said to Dianne yesterday, I said, I don't know if comebacks will take up a whole episode, and here we are.
We always
but I did want to say a couple of things. Breastfeeding in public is legal everywhere. People get confused because of all these breastfeeding laws that are being passed. These breastfeeding laws are laws that protect you. But the fact that they exist doesn't mean that before breastfeeding was illegal. Breastfeeding is not illegal anywhere. There's different levels of protection by state and all that stuff. But breastfeeding is legal everywhere that you are allowed to be. You are allowed to breastfeed. So remember that. Yes. And if you are ever harassed in public, like actually you're being harassed, contact management, let them know, contact me. A lot of times people get make headway in situations like this when social media catches wind of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put this business on blast, and then
we've done that here before. Yeah.
And and then they'll change their tune. So just know those things. And thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.